seen it.
There are a lot of bold choices that I appreciated. The scene with the coworker in his apartment.
Ooh!
That's one of the tensest scenes I've ever seen, with so many conflicting emotions, things that I was aghast at.
I screamed when that happened because I was not ready for that kind of explosion of violence.
And then what they follow it up with is just it's both my favorite cut of all time.
You mean, wait, is it the lock joke, or like the lock gag, or like
after the lock? I'll just say Gary Glitter. That's where I'll leave it at.
Yeah.
Just but at the same time, I'm like, this is the only time anybody's ever going to be allowed to use this song in this context. I'm okay with it. That's how.
Well, none of the money from the licensing of that song went to Gary Glitter or his family.
Fucking good.
Is he dead, or is he just in jail?
Oh, he's in jail. He's in jail.
Any money made off that song should only go to foundations that are helping children, like poor children.
Children who used to have to be prostitutes. Yes.
Sure.
Oh, you don't know about Gary Glitter, Hunter?
I know about Gary Glitter. I'm just saying, ooh.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about him. Yeah. I know there's some controversy. I know that we should not be acknowledging him anymore. I don't remember exactly for what.
He's a pedophile.
Yeah, and they found many files on his computer. And
he was arrested in Vietnam. Or was it Vietnam? Yeah, it was Vietnam.
It was kind of similar to the British guy. Was it Jimmy Savile?
Yeah, Jimmy Savile's a fucking.
I believe there's some evidence. Those cases are linked. And
that's
how they found was because of that stuff that they found on Gary Glitter's computer in like 2003 or something like that. Or maybe not even that long ago, maybe even more recently. But I know it was shocking when a local marching band was playing that song. And I was like, you're not allowed to do that. No. That we don't. I know that song was like a staple at sporting events, but yes.
But, I will go back to what Arlen said. Like, in the context of this movie, the way it's used is appropriately shocking because it does follow like an explosion of violence that you're not ready for. And it is one of those moments I was referring to where it's a coming out moment for the character in his steps becoming a fucking complete sociopath.
Yeah.
And it really works.
Yeah, and there are things in that movie that aren't developed fully, and if they were, I would probably really, really love this movie. I've been saying that the theme of the movie is it's sort of commenting on the joke of, well, Batman should actually be helping people. He should be giving his money to charities instead of just punching people. And
those charities would pocket the money and forget that ever happened.
Well, right. They've done that story. That's like a lot of like the Snyder stuff with the Batman Who Laughs stuff is like, you're the worst Bruce. Like, Bruce, you could be doing so much more with your money, but you dress up like a fucking bat and punch people in the goddamn face.
Yeah. And that's kind of what this movie tries to do, but I don't think it commits to anything. That's the biggest problem. It sets up a lot of ideas, and it throws a lot of suggestions out there for themes and central points for the movie to be held up upon. But to me, they all collapsed.
Honestly, and I think a lot of it was I have an idea that when this movie was being proposed, there was no Bruce Wayne element, and I'm sure Warner Bros. Was like, well, how are you going to fit Batman into this? And they were probably like, we're not. And they're like, well, then you're not making this movie.
Well, I think that's what happened with Gotham, too. They were like, I think Gotham was going to be Gotham PD, and they were like, well, what about Batman?
What about Batman's villain?
What about Batman? Then we fucking saw him in the final episode, and I went,
Hunter, I know you saw this movie. Did you have anything?
Well, it was the most intense thing I've seen in the movie theaters all year. That's sure. I really like the soundtrack in this movie.
Yeah,
like the "That's Life" is a great song to use because that like that ending hallway scene where he's like running through the thing, with that playing is like genuinely stuck with me for a while.
There's stuff in this movie that does stick with you, and that's one of the better things I can say about it. Some very strong imagery in this movie.
I want to see this movie, and I will go in like I have with all of DC's more recent film releases, Aquaman, Shazam, all that. But I'm having a real hard time divorcing myself from the fact that the guy who directed Hangover films.
I can tell you it feels nothing like one of those movies.
It doesn't.
Not at all.
That's fine, but I feel like I'm going to be watching it and being like, yeah, that makes sense. He made that decision.
See, I feel like, to me, it's more like I'm with you, but in a different way, where like I looked at the trailer for Shazam and I was like, ooh, happiness. Aquaman, it's sort of happiness. In this movie, I'm like, all right, I have to like, I'm like, yeah, like, me and my wife were talking because we finished The Watcher, and she's like, I don't want to watch, like, we can't watch Peaky Blinders right now, like, it's just too heavy. We need to take some time to go and finish, then do a season of Peaky Blinders. I was like, that's how I feel about this movie. I'm like, it's so heavy. I'm like, just sometimes not in the mood.
Yeah, I will say it's not a movie you want to watch if you want to have a good time. It's a movie you want to watch to see, like, if this idea of a character study in the Joker can be done.
If you want to watch Taxi Driver.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. I think this was basically like the only way they could get this done is if they used it and put it into a Taxi Driver vehicle. Like, because everything I hear about the production of this movie is like Warner Bros. Is like, fuck you, you're not making this movie. And if you are making this movie, we're not going to give you any money. And the money you get is going to come from somewhere else because we don't want to spend our own money.
Yeah, well, that's, like, we can bash on Warner Bros. All day, but like everything that they've ever, like, inkling of an idea they've had has been the wrong one. Like, wanting to get rid of the No Man's Land sequence in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like, everything they've done over the last 5 years that they've wanted to do,
they're all stupid.
Which goes right back into why it took me so long to get to this, because there's an inherent level of distrust in that studio I have right now, especially when it comes to these properties, because clearly the people who sit at the top of the studio don't know what the fuck they're doing with them, and it seems like every time one of these movies comes out, there's a new crop of idiots at the top who don't know what they're doing. So,
I completely agree with you. That's why I did not see Aquaman until after I finished Watchmen, because I was like, ooh, I saw that dude's dick. I have to see his other movie.
Right now.
Well, and here's the thing: it's old distrust. It's not even recent distrust. It's like distrust from 3 or 4 years ago. That's just like not dying or going away.
It's distrust sort of back from Batman and Robin. Like,
I think I let go of that a long time ago.
Well,
I mean, like, pretty much that I have to let go of, but still.
I feel like it's like we got like there's like that movie was bad, then we got the Nolan thing, but I feel like the Nolan thing is like its own thing.
It is.
You have to remove that from the equation.
I mean, again, I wasn't old enough, so I don't know. Are there people out there who are still like actively angry about Batman and Robin? Because
I know one of them.
I think because it's our only live action version of Poison Ivy and Batgirl.
Here's why I say this. I'm noticing more and more people who are like, that's a bad film, but it's enjoyable, so I like it. No. I'm not saying that's me, but that's
I think you're seeing certain people on Pixels talk about that.
No,
those aren't real people. Those aren't
the
real
person
humans.
I'm thinking of is in Pixels, but like Tim McLean is not the typical Pixels.
I would say
person.
there's a difference between Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. And the characters
actually. What's funny is I actually prefer Batman and Robin to Batman Forever, because Batman and Robin is so over the top that I have a good time with it, whereas Forever is like just corny enough for me to hate it.
Oh no, see, I completely disagree. I think Forever is watchable, and I like Val Kilmer as Bruce. I think he actually does the best Bruce of those three guys.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
I've said for years that he was the best looking Batman for a long time there.
The problem with Batman and Robin is it's like you get so many characters, and there's Jason Woodrue is in that movie.
Yeah, it's a sensory overload. It's a sensory overload. Like every 5 minutes,
the Floronic Man, Swamp Thing's enemy, played by the man who played Lionel Luthor on Smallville.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like a badly done version of Batman 6, which is, I think that's the biggest problem, is that it's a badly done version.
Which one is the one with Two-Face and Riddler?
That's Forever.
That's Forever. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that has Seal, Kiss from Rose in it.
Hell yeah!
Right.
I own that soundtrack on.
Oddly, it also has a Sunny Day Real Estate song.
Why?
Okay.
There's a Sunny Day
Are
Real
we?
Estate song in there. Yeah.
Are we good on Joker and to go on to whoever's next?
Hunter, what was your number 3?
Hold on, let me pull up my list. Yeah,
I think Mandalorian.
It's funnier if I bring up my number 2 because of the conversation we just had.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Okay.
And my number 2 is Shazam.
Oh, I love it.
Shazam
The whole time you guys were having that conversation, I was just like looking around my room, like, oh no.
I love
God, that was this year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
God damn, that was this
I
year.
love Shazam.
And if I was to put a DC movie, I think it's the best DC Warner Brothers movie that they've made.
I really like that movie.
Fair.
What's his name?
Don't agree, but fair.
Zach Levi.
Zach Levi is so funny in that movie.
He's perfect. Like I can't even like him playing a 12-year-old in an adult body is so good.
It's so funny.
It got all the things that were good about Shazam, because I mean, I've reading the Starman run that James Robinson did. There's a hefty chunk that's Shazam in there, and it's a pain. It's a slog to read through. But watching it on screen, they got the optimism and joy and fun that Shazam can have that Warner Brothers has been missing from all of their DC.
Yeah. It's just a really good movie that they made somehow. I don't understand how this movie is as good as it is.
Yeah,
honestly.
They gave redemptions to so many people in this movie, like Mark Strong's redemption from Green Lantern. All the people that weren't supposed to be in, was it Justice League? Though,
yeah,
the one that what's his name from Fast and Furious was going to do. They're all in it.
They are.
Yeah, Adam Brody was supposed to be the Flash. The dude that plays the other one was supposed to be Superman.
Oh,
the Spanish guy.
Oh yeah, and Arnie Hammer was supposed to be Batman. This was the
what's his name?
The guy directed Fury Road.
Yeah.
George Miller. Thank you. Yeah.
So Adam Brody was supposed to be basically the star of that movie as the Flash, and then the other guy was supposed to be Superman.
Wow.
And that's why they're both there.
I forgot about the Superman part of that. That's
DJ Cortana or Cortana.
I mean, the thing about that movie is they did things in the first movie that I never expected, like ever for them to ever do.
The Marvel family is in the movie.
The only thing that they did not do from the Captain Marvel mythos is Tawny.
Yep.
They literally gave us everything else.
Which he's going to be in a sequel, I guarantee.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%.
Because they did do a whole lot of tiger imagery in the movie, if you noticed, like Billy had
gets lost at a zoo or something, right?
Well, Billy had a tiger on his backpack. And when he's at the carnival or whatever it is, the winter fair, like he hands that little girl a tiger stuffed animal to hold on to because she's scared. Like they're definitely being like, yeah, hey, we know what you want to see and you'll get to it, but not right now.
I said again, I was floored when they did the Shazam family.
The fact that they have Mr. Mime is the tease.
Yeah.
Mr. Mind.
Yes.
Also, just to tag in Arlen here. So the guy that plays the adult, one of the characters was from Teen Wolf.
Oh no,
Asian guy. He was also in Riverdale.
Which one was that?
He's the Asian one. I can't remember his name. Ross Butler.
Oh, that's right. Yes, he is. Yeah, he's yeah.
Is he a Nazi werewolf?
No, the Nazi werewolf is not the Asian one. Yeah, I don't.
And again, to tie back in, the same actor
because he's a Nazi werewolf.
Despite the same actor that played Woodrow plays.
Despite
father.
Yep. Despite the protests of some people online I've seen, I'm glad these movies aren't just forgetting Zack Snyder's continuity and they're finding ways to get around it and include it. Some people are like, no, retcon those movies and get rid of them. I'm like, no, stop that.
Also, they're acknowledging them in ways that are interesting.
Happened. Yeah.
They're acknowledging them in ways that make sense for the story. Also, that's the thing that I love.
I do love how Superman just walks into a lunchroom. You don't see his face.
Well, the headless cameo is a little egregious because, wow, you couldn't you couldn't fix relationship with Cavill to the point where you had to get somebody else.
It's still funny,
I just think
though.
I think the timing wasn't right. I think
I think it's the timing.
Busy. Yeah, I think that has more to do with it.
Also, but I think this is the first. I think Shazam changed the whole dynamic because it was the one that gave color.
Yep.
So you got the pop, and you saw it in Aquaman. You've seen it in the new Wonder Woman trailer.
You sort of see the beginnings of it, but I think this one is where, like, no, we're doing big, bright, colorful movies.
Like
from
the train sequence is so colorful and like not a DC movie at all.
Well, I feel like this was the first director who's finally like, no, I'm not doing a Nolan film. I'm doing a Shazam film that is bright and cheerful and fun, and it's the only way
you can do it.
Exactly.
And he's not even trying to make it seem like he's not. Just
it's
like he's just doing his own thing. Yeah, I love it. But also, I love that they didn't abandon strong drama, strong dramatic themes, ideas at all.
The first 10 minutes of that movie are heinously dark.
Yeah, well, and not even that, just the stuff with his
Billy's
mom.
backstory is heinously dark in the comics.
Yes.
And they did it even darker where like there's things in the comics where it's like, oh, like he's an orphan. We don't really know what this is like. His mom just like walked away. It was like, no.
I love the way that they set that up. The way that they set that rug up and weave it together, and then they just pull it out from under you. It's so well done.
I did not know the guy that directed this. He got this because he did Annabelle Creation.
Well, so he's part of the James Wan sort of school. That's why this is happening.
Yeah.
This is the James Wan takeover. It's done. It happened. He took over. He's in charge now.
Good.
Him and his guy from New Line are firmly at control.
My thought would be like, why not just give him the reins? Let him do this universe.
He does. He does effectively. His producer from New Line
too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like his producer from New Line took over DC movies, and immediately, to me, they started to get better. And like I can't not see the correlation there, the correlation and causation there, even though I know I'm not supposed to. But yeah, like it was just like it was immediate, and their movies automatically got better. And the directors who have worked on their movies up until this point are all people who worked on Conjuring movies. Or Lights Out or whatever. James Wan
association with James Wan stuff. Yeah.
Like I'm waiting for the Lee Whannell DC movie. Like it's gonna happen.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought. I was. I just wanted to point out. I love the fact that when they're stuck in whatever the Rock of Eternity and they're opening all the doors, and one of them is an homage to The Mist. Because I was not expecting that at all, and that is directly from The Mist. That tentacle.
Yeah, that sequence teases so many Easter eggs. Because I think they tease. I can't remember all the worlds because there's a bunch of worlds that, like in the actual comic too, because they tease
all the alligators playing poker, which I think is
that's the animal world that Tawny would be from.
Yeah,
wasn't there a Black Adam tease? Sort of.
Yeah, well, it's in the intro when the wizard is explaining.
Yeah, about the first person to have the power.
We have a quote-unquote date on that movie.
That movie's definitely happening.
Yeah, and I'm getting
that movie will happen when Christian Bale appears on CW.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. Now that movie's in the Flash camp right now. That's not happening. That movie's not happening. No.
Yeah.
But okay. Hunter, did you have anything else to say, I guess, or do we want to move to...
No, it's really good. Mark Strong.
Well, it'd be move on to your number 3, Arlen, then. Yeah. Mark Strong is great.
I haven't seen this yet.
I just spill your beans. My pick is The Lighthouse because it's the movie I wanted to talk about. To me, it's in our wheelhouse because of how much we talk about horror and the macabre and stuff of that nature.
And I'll remind us that this was also one of John's choices on his list, since we've completely forgotten to mention his other stuff.
Yeah. It's just, and it's probably one of my favorite movies of the year. It's just fantastic. Am I the only one who's actually seen it?
I haven't got a chance to. I know it's available digitally,
I'll
and I
see it
just
on
haven't gotten
Tuesday
to
when
it.
it gets here.
Yeah.
I will see it as I see Joker maybe tomorrow if I have the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sell
So
me
I'll
on
just. Do you want me to sell you on it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I sort of wrote like a little letterbox review where I said I could watch this director remake The Shining a million times.
Speaking of Shining, isn't there a glittering vampire in this movie, and he can't be Batman because he glitters in that one movie?
Right,
Well,
exactly.
What in the vegan soy boy? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the vegan soy boy. Who? Here's the thing: when you watch this movie, you'll be like, "Oh, he's Batman," because of many things that happen in this film that have to do with his sexual preferences and things that he does with his penis that are very Batman-esque. That you could very easily
fuck
see
bats?
Batman. No,
that's
but
what Harley Quinn told me.
But there are things that happen. I don't like. There's so much about this movie. But this whole Shining thing, that was kind of a joke. But at the same time, it does do the things that The Shining does for me, where there's this complete sense of you get lost in what's going on. You feel like I need to stop and I need to pause every couple minutes to sort of break down for myself what I just saw. And there's a lot of that in this movie. But it's not meaningless, and it's not just thrown out to be deceptive or to be confusing. There always feels like there's purpose behind it, and this is even more The Shining than The Witch was. And I think it's to its benefit. I
will say that I saw one clip on YouTube that was it's the rant about the fucking cooking from Defoe to Pattinson, and like it's 3 minutes of Defoe just blah blah blah, but it's fucking, you're like, this is really tense, and I want to leave the room.
Yeah,
because
there's
what
so
starts
much
like it feels like an argument that builds up into Defoe getting so upset that he's laying down like sailor curses on Robert Pattinson. He's like, "May the sea sly ye whole!" Like,
yes, yeah. That scene is. I feel like that scene has been shared many, many times, and like that's just like an ounce of the kind of like of mania that you feel watching that movie.
Yeah, and that scene builds up tension and then ends with a joke.
Yeah. That's the thing. It does that so many times. There are times where you feel like it's building to something super intense, and then undercuts itself in a fantastic way. But then there are moments where it's not building on anything, where there is no tension, and then just something movie breaking happens. Something that's just like, oh my fucking god, what the hell just happened? Occurs out of nowhere, and it's not terrifying, but it is shocking in a way that you don't see in movies very often. And seeing it performed by two of the best character actors of today is just mesmerizing.
No, he was in the vampire movie though.
So you're saying I should go into this movie under the idea that this is what happened to Klaus after Life Aquatic?
I mean,
yes.
I'm not going to say you shouldn't.
Back to Hunter's point. Robert Pattinson did the Twilight movie like a decade ago. Right. That means he's still terrible, and I should never support his work ever.
He played the baseball with vampires.
All I'll say is, if he masturbates on film, it's a fantastic film. That's all I'll say. That's what I'll leave it at.
The stories I've heard about the production, Pattinson was getting so fucking drunk for method acting that he would just shit his pants.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that.
Like, I think I heard Willem Dafoe at some point wanted to. I think I heard Willem Dafoe wanted to fucking beat his ass at some point because Pattinson was sloppy drunk.
Well, they're very different actors also. So this is a very behind the scene thing, but Dafoe is a stage actor and he likes rehearsing a lot. And Pattinson is not a fan of rehearsing at all. So they got into some conflict over that.
But yeah, I hear those fights, honestly.
There's an easy way to solve that thing, and that's by Willem Dafoe whipping it out, in which what was it? Lars von Trier called Willem Dafoe's penis confusingly large.
Yes, that's what he said. It's confusingly large. I'm now imagining that. Out am I? As he pulls out his penis. Okay, what was I going to say? So this is so for a final note, since Rusty haven't watched it, and this is sort of about Robert Pattinson. Every movie he's done since The Rover that I've seen, it's usually one of my favorite movies of the year. So The Rover, Good Time, The Lighthouse, like he picks great projects. So if you are at all worried about the Batman, that should put your worries aside, because Pattinson only seems to be picking really, really good scripts and really good characters.
And he's been doing that for years.
Yeah. He has been. He was in Cosmopolis. Like, that movie is amazing. It's confusing at points, and I'm not really 100% sure what they were trying to do there, but that's to be expected.
Isn't he like in a really weird movie that's coming out soon?
He's in
what's his name?
He's in Christopher Nolan's new movie, Tenet.
That's the one I'm talking about. The one with the
Washington kid. Yeah, he's in Tenet. I'm
okay. That is in the trailer because that trailer kept showing me someone like a glimpse of someone who I thought was Pattinson, and I couldn't see him.
It concentrates on Denzel Washington's son. John David Washington, and Robert Pattinson doesn't get a line in it.
Yeah, he's in one of the only promo.
He's got fucking crazy though.
Great hair. Yeah.
Besides the two of them, it's Aaron Taylor Johnson, Michael Caine, Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of amazing people in that movie, but
Aaron Taylor Johnson's wife is going to show up too, because why not? So we can all.
Yeah, he's Washington's partner, like they're partners.
Yeah. Pattinson is one of those people that I feel like he did the Twilight movies and didn't realize what was going to happen.
Yeah, he has
when he
fuck
did
you
that.
money now. That's what it is.
Exactly. He's the potential that Johnny Depp had, but actually using.
I think Johnny Depp was there, and then he was like, "Oh wait, I can get pirates' money."
Well, he was like, "I can show up and not act at all." Kind of.
I could just be drunk.
I think that's
what set, and then that counts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
He started before Twilight even ended, because he did Water for Elephants before the last two Twilight movies.
Yeah. Well, okay. So on the thing of Twilight, like I have my own problems with Twilight as a franchise and what that series represents, but I was watching this series called Actors on Actors, which is an interview series they do every year, and a lot of them are fluff and kind of garbage. But he did one recently promoting the Lighthouse, and they asked him about Twilight, and his response was, I really liked the character when I was first told about it, and I wanted to do the movies. I think that they would become... It's
his third movie, and his seventh thing.
Yeah, and I can see from his perspective being like, that doesn't seem uninteresting.
And he got into those tween book franchises like when they were a thing. Like that movie made them a thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so, he I'm sure he didn't go into it expecting to be saddled with this, unfortunately, for a large portion of his career.
Or to become a sex symbol. Like,
the two of them, they both had the exact same kind of thing, and they've both done awesome, crazy, artsy movies, and like they do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. But it's just they kind of went the opposite trajectory. Like Johnny Depp had all that goodwill, and then he did Pirates, and then everything kind of went downhill. While Pattinson did the franchise and has now moved out of that because, like you said, he has fuck you money.
Yeah, I think Johnny Depp, like, I'm trying to think, like, did he... I don't know. I think he did it, like, in reverse, because I don't know if he didn't have the big franchise till he was older.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Is that he did the opposite trajectory. He did all the artsy stuff and had like all this amazing goodwill, and then he did Pirates.
Yeah, and then now he does whatever to pay for his divorce and all the other legal fees he has.
I'm not even into that.
Yeah, we're
Anyways,
Blake Lively cut off one of his fucking fingers and shit in his bed. They're both
Amber Heard.
Blake Lively.
Amber Heard.
Blake Lively. There we go.
I can
Amber
understand
Heard.
confusing it. I completely understand it.
Yeah, one was in
Blake
Green
Lively.
Lantern, the other one is useless, and the other one was an Aquaman. Ed shouldn't have been in it. Because
Amber Heard.
Well, she's not going to be
Honestly,
Aquaman too.
She's the worst part of Aquaman, and I love that.
Well, she's not a good actor.
And it's not her fault.
Should have a career.
Well,
Right.
She's a domestic
I
abuser.
agree.
Anyways,
This is the anti-Amber Heard cast from now on. Eric, I think it's your pick. Am I wrong?
My number 2 was Watchmen. So yeah, we already talked about that. Yeah. So
it'd be
Connor. Yeah.
Okay, so my number 1 is Endgame, and I don't have too much to say about it. I'm 2.
Well, we're at number 2.
Oh, you didn't. Yeah.
Shit, wait, what's my number 2? I think my number 2 is Mandalorian. So we already covered that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one. Yeah.
Yeah. Endgame was my number 1 as well.
It's not mine. Do we want to talk about that, or do we?
I mean, there's not. I think we've already said most of what we can say about Endgame.
Yeah.
There's some time has passed, and I've seen it multiple times. I'm just gonna say, still holds up.
still great.
Yeah, it's a good film. Yeah.
It's a
Holds
bar
up
that
and-
will never be reached again.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
It shows what happens when you have a unified vision on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Eric, you're cutting out bad.
Yeah, I was just
Okay.
like that.
Sorry. Oh, it shows what happens when you have a unified vision and someone in control of what's going on. And I know this is going to come across as a hot take to some of you, but I know a lot of you are apologists for Justice League or Zack Snyder. I could give two shits about anything that Justice League did or anything that happened behind the scenes with Warner Brothers and Justice League, because it was destined to be a bad movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where I land on it, Eric, as well. On that, Justice League.
Yeah, and I don't care about I don't care about a Zack Snyder cut. I do not give two shits.
But what about a
I don't
James
care
cut?
that it exists.
No, we need a. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I cannot abide by anyone giving two shits about anything that happened with Justice League when you have a movie like Endgame coming
There's
out.
going to be a live disembowelment on this podcast.
Yeah.
Are you going to commit
But
seppuku?
But yeah, Endgame is
And
phenomenal.
actually, to go somewhere else, it's also what happens when you plan your franchise out exquisitely and meticulously, as opposed to getting a different creative head for each movie in your fucking trilogy.
Yes.
Which is crazy because it's, again, the same company, but I think in our group chats we talked about, it's this is what happens when you have a fate. It's not as much as it's all, as much as it's about how awesome Endgame is, it's about also Kevin Feige, what he did as a guy steering a ship, and it's why he's basically the number 2 at Disney at this point, in some sort of way.
He's the number
heir
2
apparent.
Yeah. Also, he's also he's the president of Marvel Entertainment now, so Ike essentially has to kind of answer to him.
Well, no, he does.
And the comic book side as well. And to dive into that just a little bit, I would just say I think of the big 2, and I'm more of a DC guy. Marvel is doing the better job of adapting to the new world.
Yep.
Yeah.
And using the comics as a way to test storylines, keep characters alive for IP reasons, and to push ideas to push characters that can be in movies. It's we hear there's a new thing coming out. All of a sudden these characters have a new they bought back Fox. There's a huge X-Men comic book thing. And there's a huge
and not to jump the gun here, but recently Kathleen Kennedy went in front of a camera and said we don't have any comic books, graphic novels, video games or anything to base our stuff off. None of it. It doesn't exist. So we have to write from scratch.
That I thought was from a bit ago. That was from a few years ago. I didn't think that was recent.
I think
regardless.
from this year.
I do wonder what the rights thing would be to base off of old books and comic books.
Well, okay, so Lou, here's the thing. Since you bring that up, that's a good place to start. Yes, if she directly used characters and story points from the old EU, they would have to pay people. Okay. But here's my response to that. They credit people who work in the comics all the time. They credit Marv Wolfman. They credit how the fuck am I forgetting this man's name? Creator of Captain America, Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. They credit those people in every movie.
Well,
yes.
All right.
There's no reason Star Wars can't do that.
I'm going to put a hard stop on this because we've obviously all got something to say about a certain movie that came out this year.
We need to wait.
Let's get into that when we get to that.
I just want to tag in one point of what Arlen just said. But the difference is that other companies have done comic books of this universe, specifically Dark Horse. Had Star Wars for a very long time. So touching any of their stuff is probably a very tricky situation.
Well, yeah, that's because they'd have to flow money to the Ukraine and wherever the fuck else they got a bunch of writers from. So
yes.
So I don't know the specifics, but because those were licensing agreements, and I might be wrong here, the rights to reprint those stories and the rights to reference those stories would have gone back to Lucasfilm.
Yeah, they did.
I would think
Part
so, but comic books... Yeah,
it's
such
I
a
don't know.
weird...
But that's licensing. That's the difference between like what IDW does with Doctor Who versus what they do with TMNT. I think. I don't believe TMNT was licensed. I believe it was creators or one of them doing it through them and publishing it versus them hiring a writer, hiring somebody through a licensing agreement. I might be completely wrong on that. I do not know the exact legal stuff there.
I think it was Eastman who was the one who had the rights to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he went to work with IDW.
Blair, he sold his part. He sold his part to Eastman.
I know that part, yes.
And then he eventually sold it to Universal, who owns Nickelodeon.
Or Viacom.
Viacom,
yes. Oh, Viacom, yeah.
But part of the deal is that he has to stay on as like kind of a creative head. Anything.
Yes, and he also has the right to self-publish
whenever he wants, because they're working on a thing together.
Yeah, Eastman later making a Ninja Turtles
TMNT
for 20 years.
But anyways, that was just an example of how licensing is different from like it's. This is very complicated, but if Sony lets go of Spider-Man ever, the rights to those movies go back to Disney. That's just
well. I guess my question is like if Disney, who owns Lucas, so that's Star Wars, wanted to adapt a Dark Horse comic of Star Wars, I don't know where the rights of like who has to get paid in that situation.
It would be the writers, I would assume.
Yeah, the writers. Yes. It wouldn't be Dark Horse. It would be the writers specifically, and they would get a tuppence in compared to what they would normally get.
As far as this goes, I think we should probably move on to what we have left. Biggest letdown and honorable mentions.
Well, other people have number ones.
Other people do number ones. We're still on Endgame. Endgame as a topper to that series. I still love it on that.
Fantastic.
It's just I can't think of a better way.
I can't think of a more like heartbreaking film than Endgame.
I can't think of a more competent end to a series of films to come out this year.
No, I can't either, Erik.
It just it was 10 years of
anything. Like it set the standard so that Game of Thrones 2 weeks later just shot the bed immediately.
It's
different animals, but yes.
Regardless of what you thought about individual Marvel films, everything tied together in the end. Things that I was not expecting to tie in, like having that heavy Doctor Strange connection, like during the Battle of New York Redux, like what? Like a movie that I thought was just going to be somewhat inconsequential because they were just introducing the cosmic side of, or not cosmic, the magic side of Marvel. Just like, oh no, this is going to play a big part. Like, and it did, and it worked, and it didn't go like, hey, remember this? Like everything fit into place like a puzzle, and it shows the strength of, regardless of what you think about a monolithic multi-billion-dollar corporation running most of the entertainment industry when they have their finger on what they're doing. Man, do they do it right?
It showed you can actually build a universe and there's a payoff. Like you can build a story over a decade and have it pay off. Like the comic books goddamn do. Like you can, because it's basically like, oh, you can see all the Marvel movies as like, all right, each individual character is like their individual book, and then the Avengers and like certain other ones are like Civil War and Winter Soldier are like annuals, and then Infinity War and Endgame are like the giant crossover.
Are the like main issues of this storyline, while everything else is like the crossover issues. Yeah.
And I think the only other venue, I don't even know how another way to say it, that's done this thing and gotten it is what CW has done, and we're in the middle of it.
Yeah, we're still in the middle of it, so we can't really judge.
We can't really talk about it as much, but it's like it's the only other thing that's gotten that concept can work.
And where they've built up that kind of history, and I do think, because we've already done stuff on this, we don't want to talk about it for too long. But I will say this: guess what? When you look at these movies in the long lens, there are themes and there are strong ideas and central pillars to the story that are there and definitely run through. And there's definitely a, I don't know, confronting of what humanity is and what it means to be human that certain directors with a stick up their ass should maybe pay attention to, and maybe shut their fucking mouths. And actually, watch the 24 films instead of just talking about the two movies that aren't even connected that they probably half watched on FX.
There's not a single gangster in Endgame. Not a single one.
There's not a single man making.
Also, Disney is evil, so Martin Scorsese's right, even though he's probably never seen the movies.
Right.
I'm
exactly.
glad Sony's holding an actor hostage. I hate Disney.
Who drunk dialed the head of a corporation to save his
That's pretty so good.
Anyways, Martin Scorsese is keeping. Listen to him. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, he's keeping cinema alive. All right, let's move on to other people's number ones.
Did everybody do their number twos? Because I don't think.
Yeah, I think we still have some number twos to get through.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
So who still had them?
I have a number two.
Okay.
I will say my number two is, which I know no one else is here to watch, which is My Hero Academia.
I've seen some of it, not all of it.
I want to watch it, but I haven't seen it yet, and
it's
I
really
have
good.
to be the dog.
This is more of an aside. John almost put that on his list. That's just
like, as much as like, if you're not into anime, this is the most comic book perfect thing to get into anime.
It's so good. I haven't finished it yet because I was waiting for it to end. But it is.
I think the new season just started.
Yeah.
Season 4 just started.
It is genuinely like one of my favorite animes of all the time. And I was like, I need to wait for this to finish so I can just watch all of it.
Which they're so like, so the anime is so good. I started reading the manga, and they're so close to it that like, oh, there's gonna be some filler soon.
Yep.
But like, it's to just set it up for those that haven't watched. It's basically the thing about X-Men, like mutants, except instead of like a 5 or 6% of the world changing, it's like 88% of the world changes.
Almost everyone.
Yes. Wow. And what that does to the world, like the commoditization of heroes and like superpowers, and how your power kind of determines how much money you can make, what it means to the police force and to crime. It's specifically in Japan, but they reference other countries.
It is very much like how, like, there's a lot of how this affects Japan as well. If I remember correctly. It's
in like the world economy and the world, because it's like Japan was like the first country to kind of set up an economy based around it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot about like the commercialization. Because it's not like, so there's like a hero ranking, and if you're the number one hero, then more people are buying your stuff. So like, and you're making more money. And
there's also sorry to cut you off, Lou, but there are incredible like parallels to actual comic book characters too.
Oh, 100%.
Like awesome. there's a 90s image character called Stain.
Yes. Oh god, he's
the
totally
fucking
a
best.
character.
He's so cool.
And like he's a super edgelord. He's inspiration. But they get into like what there's like a lot of cool like world building stuff that's awesome because like one of the characters is Shoto, has 2 quirks, which is what they call their like powers, and he has a fire and an ice. And the reason he has 2 is because they like people would start like having arranged marriages to breed quirks.
Oh wow!
And so his father was a fire person, and he married an ice person, and he's like the 5th kid, and he's the only one to get both.
So you're saying things got really steamy in the bedroom?
Yeah.
Oh, they go through like there's a whole like, and they go through like some of the characters' power sets are based. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them that like have to do with like their bodies and how much they intake. There's just like a girl who can just make things, but they like are built out of like her, her whatever she has inside her body. So eventually she'll just pass out.
No.
Yeah, she'll just pass out from not being able to eat, like because she didn't eat enough. And they have like, really wonky powers.
Does that mean anything in her body? Anything?
Eric, it's getting like we should.
Like she literally like produces them like out of her chest, like.
Oh god.
But they don't show anything because they're children.
Yep.
But like their power sets are really interesting because there's like
that's Eric's line in the sand.
Yes, they're kids. It's like one of the characters they show. He can it's like permeable, so he can pass through anything like Shadowcat. Except that then when he does it, he always ends up naked because then his clothes fall off. But it's like it's a really wonky quirk, but he like figures out how to do it. One of the guys who like whatever he eats that day, he can like turn his body into. So he has like all these little Batman pouches filled with food.
See, this is something I've heard a lot of really good buzz about. I've wanted to check out, but now hearing you like explain it more, I definitely want to actually. Yeah,
and like even the villains, like there's a group of villains, and they're really interesting. Like one of the characters I really like is called Twice, which is kind of Deadpool-y, and that he's like comic relief, but his power is to like is like what's his name, Matrix.
He's Multiple Man.
Multiple Man.
He had like a thing where he started making more of himself, and then they tied him up, and he doesn't know if he's the real one or if he's one of the dupes.
That's amazing.
And so like he's like so fucking crazy, and then he can make duplicates of anything, but he refuses to make duplicates of himself.
Huh. Okay. This all sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's like it's a very cool world, and like the main character is fun, and he's really interesting. Midoriya and
Dooku.
Yeah, Dooku.
You can play him in Hunter's favorite game of the year, Shonen
Jump. Too. Woo!
Yeah.
No, Shonen Jump, my man.
Yeah, but when they get to the anime, like there is some stuff that's really interesting. Like one of the cooler characters that just happened in the anime is Night Eye, who if he touches you, he can see your future like he's watching a movie, and they actually show what he sees. And it's like an old like 30s movie.
Okay.
There's like it's really cool and fun, and it's only into like the beginning of season 4 of the anime. I think there's like 1 or 2 movies, which the movies they're canon, but they're like a little goofy.
So anime movie.
Yeah, that's kind
they're anime.
It's an anime film.
Yeah.
But they actually show America in the one movie, which is fun.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because it's a worldwide thing. But I like the idea. I feel like you like superheroes. It's a superhero anime, so
it's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. I feel like that's a good segue into my number 2, or did anybody else have a number 2 that they had to?
No, my number 2 is Mandalorian, so we're
okay. Yeah, my number 2. This was actually an audible here just a few seconds ago because I was like, I don't want to do that. So I said, well, what was almost on my list, and Umbrella Academy is my number 2.
Fuck, I have not watched this yet.
You need to.
My wife and
I like it.
My wife and I got like 4 episodes in, and I got the stomach flu, and we never.
Oh.
You know what? Fuck you, Eric. You're canceled. Just like Arlen is canceled for Legion, you're canceled for Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, Jason Sudeikis for punching Baby Yoda.
I've talked about Quinn Curie in the show before, but Quinn Curie has like a 45-minute video essay in Umbrella Academy. that I watched not that long ago. I was like, it reminded me how I need to get around to that fucking show.
It's so good.
Dude.
I will say this, and I will get hate. I think the show is better than the comic.
I haven't read the comic, so I
read the comic after.
I think Lou's canceled now.
I think the comic is too all over the place. Like it doesn't explain enough of the world. Like it just drops you in, and I like that the show is kind of better at that.
The comic is very much Gerard Way doing an imitation of Grant Morrison, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because he does a pretty good job on a lot of the stuff he writes. But I can't necessarily disagree with you from what I saw of the show because the comic is definitely all over the
Still
place.
love Gerard Way, though.
Like, hey,
Gerard Way.
Yes.
Yeah, and what I liked about this show is, I mean, you can kind of feel the Gerard Way of it all somehow, but that didn't bother me
it's all over the place.
It just, I don't know, it just worked. Everything about the show worked. It all came together. Every story built properly on itself, and this came out early in 2019.
Yeah, it was like
it did.
Yeah, but I still remember it. Like I still feel the way that I felt.
What's her name? The star,
Ellen Page. Yes.
Ellen Page is amazing in it.
It's fantastic, and the way that they build her character and
That,
the way
like,
that they set things up.
She's the main reason I like the show more than the book.
Yes, and her the boyfriend character.
Oh yes,
he's so good. And I've seen that actor in a couple other things. He was in Overlord.
He's a that guy actor.
Yeah, he's a modern that guy actor, and he's fantastic. You buy his side of things and his story, and just everything about it. The way that they set it up, the way that things are foretold, and the way that season ends, and the cliffhanger that they end on is so exciting. It's one of those things where like, I need season 2 right now. I need to know what the next chapter is, and I need to see it because, oh my god, they end in the best place ever.
Well, that's the thing I'm curious about, because from what I know from reading the comics a ton, and I'm a bit different than Lou. I really love the comics, and I mean, I think the show is good, but they combine both Apocalypse Suite and Dallas, which are the first 2 volumes of the comic, to basically do the first season of the show. So I don't know where they're going to go, because the 3rd volume of the comic just came out, and
was it Hotel Oblivion?
Because they did things so differently in the show, I don't know where.
Yeah, I think they're going a completely different route based on everything, because that's where like it ends different. I'm not saying I don't like the comic. I like the comic. I think that the show, with the idea,
you think the show is a better version concept, is what you're saying?
Yes, the premise. I think the show is a better way to work out the premise than the comic book.
I can respect that. I love Boz's art, and
the comic is gorgeous, and I think the comic is awesome.
Yeah, when I was reading the comic, it blew me away, because I was like, oh my god, like Gerard Way is actually a decent writer. And
I love the guy that was in the season 1 of
Mindhunter.
Yeah, Mindhunter.
Yes, he's so good.
Who did he play? Ed Gein?
No, he played Kemper. He played
Ed Kemper. Yeah, he played Ed Kemper, and he's just like, I heard the voice, I was like, holy shit, I'm so happy.
He plays such a different character. Also, that's the thing. It was so good. He plays it, and then
Mary J. Blige is
Mary J. Blige as his sidekick.
Yes.
So good.
Cha-Cha, and I forget what the other assassin's name is.
But they're so good together, and then.
And I love when they stumble upon that house and they don't know what they're walking into. And they're like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? They don't know how to react.
And that's the thing, like, the actors are so good in the show. Like, I think they had perfect casting. The dude that plays, oh my god, I'm so bad with the names.
The Seance?
The Seance is so fucking good in the show.
He's amazing. Like, that kid kills it, like...
Question, Arlen. Does a Space Boy ever take off his jacket?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't.
Yeah. Oh no, they do a whole bunch of stuff with him not. There's actually a very funny thing they do that's not in the comic with him and what's the Spanish kid's name? The one with the knives.
The Kraken.
The Kraken.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like they do a bunch of stuff because they go clothing, and it's very funny.
Yes,
because I didn't see enough of the show to see him actually take off the jacket. I'm like, really? They're not gonna do that? Like, it's such a great visual. Go ahead.
So he's one of my. It's sort of interesting notes. I wasn't sure about that actor at first. I was like, this is not that interesting. But that character grew on me. That's the thing. The parts of the show that maybe were a little bit uneven at first grow on you very heavily, and it just like any problems you might have in the first few episodes, if you tried it and it was a little slow for anybody out there, it gets better. It fixes itself and corrects itself, which is, I think that's part of why I rate it so highly. A show that has problems and flaws, but fixes its problems in the course of the show progressing, that is something I appreciate more than a show that's just broken from beginning to end.
Okay.
Yeah. Connor, did I sell you at all to get on it?
I was sold before. Like I said, I sat down and just watched Quinn talk for 45 minutes about how the show is good and the strength of all the characters, and there's a lot of it was spoiled, so I'm trying not to let those out because I also want to I don't want to discuss them because I want to absorb the show with myself. But I think it was Klaus was the character I immediately wanted to know more about. Oh, fucking hi, Butters! Why don't you get the fuck off my lap, buddy?
I do want to say, the kid in the show does a great job. What's his name?
Klaus is
Number
the big
5.
giant guy.
Number 5. Kid actors,
Klaus?
even if he's a teenager, they're so much missed more than hit.
Space Boy's the guy in the giant suit.
Yeah, that character I immediately just from the bits I saw, I immediately was drawn to him. So
yeah, a lot of the characters are interesting. The guy who was on was the British show where they all have superpowers, Misfits. He's fantastic, even though he's been playing that character for 10 years now.
What's her name that plays the mom is fantastic.
That's right. That's the thing. I'm remembering more the show, the parts that I did forget a little bits of, and I'm remembering how good they were.
Because that's
the android mom who clearly has emotions.
I watched with my wife, and she loved the show. I was like, I don't have to force you to watch a comic book show.
That's an endorsement that gets somebody who's maybe not totally into our world to like it, but it's also something that a lot of us love. I feel like that's a big endorsement of the show. So yeah, go watch it if you haven't, or get back to it.
Is Grace is the mom?
Great, yeah.
Jordan Claire Robbins. She was in Supernatural and iZombie.
Yeah.
And she was in the 12 Monkeys TV show.
That great TV show we all watched, 12 Monkeys.
I've actually heard good things about that show.
I have too, but
there's not enough time. There's not.
Yeah.
There's just not.
No.
All right, do we want to move? Does anybody else have number 2 that they need to drop on us?
I think all the 2s are out, so other number 1s,
I have one.
Connor and I already covered ours, so.
Should I do mine? Because really quick.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
I couldn't decide on which one I want to do, so I just put Omni Collecting in mine.
Yes.
I'm on that drug now.
Because I'm addicted and I can't stop.
My boys, come gather.
I just got a new one the other day that I posted.
What'd you get?
I got the JSA Volume 3.
Oh. Okay. Number 2 is hard to find, man, so good luck on that.
Yeah, I got it more because it has the Kingdom Come sequel.
Okay.
Inside of it.
See, I wouldn't be able to have one that has Volume 3 written on it and not have Volume 1 and 2.
Yeah, no,
Eric,
see, I'm at the same point Eric's at where I can't do that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a Volume 3 and I have a Kirby Volume 2.
Oh God, my spine. Yeah. Yeah, it's, I feel bad that I haven't bought the newest trade of Hellblazer, and that's Volume 27. So, yeah.
Jesus.
Well, then now they're going to put them all back out with Black Label on them.
Don't do that.
No, they won't. No.
But yeah, I really enjoy doing that. Yeah, that's it.
No, it's fun, and when you find a great deal, like once you get a bit more into it and understand prices and the market fluctuations, like if you can find something that normally goes for like $150, $200 for like $50 to $75, you feel like you're robbing somebody.
It's so good.
It's so great. It's the most wonderful feeling.
Cocaine.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's that dopamine kick. Yeah.
While we're talking about this, I literally see someone posting a video of the Uncanny X-Force Omnibus reprint.
You're like,
ooh. All right. I think Lou's number one. Am I wrong? Or
yeah, I have a number one, which ties in good to this because my number one is Hoxpox.
Oh, well, that's my honorable mention.
Yeah, so like
something else I can't commentate on yet.
What is that?
So like I've been out of Marvel for 15 plus years, and all of a sudden this Hickman book of like I'm rebooting the X-Men kind of. I'm like, all right, let's check this out. We'll do it for the comic book show.
It turns out everybody's fucking.
Oh yes, that's like it's the third law of mutants. Law 1, don't kill humans. Law 2, I don't remember. Law 3, we be fucking.
I will say this. I also have been down on Marvel Comics for a long time, and then Erik sent me all of Hickman's Avengers, and I was like, oh wow, I love all of this.
Yeah, like, and I know like someone in the group like asked recently, like, oh, do they explain like Wolverine getting his adamantium? I'm like, yes, they do. They explain it in like one of the more recent books, like exactly how they do it. And it's like they just have a fucking pool, like a vat of adamantium. Yeah, it's like, yeah, and it's like in Forge's thing, and he's just like, oh, this is how you do it. And Forge's like, yeah, he's like, all right, I got some ideas. Oh shit, we have to leave.
From what I know of Hickman doing all this X-Men stuff is that they've kind of given him the Kevin Feige. They've given him the role that that he is in charge of all X-Men related stuff going forward as long as he has this plan.
And it's expanding soon because so they're doing. So there's like 3 or 4 main books because Hoxpox is over. And then some of the other ones are going to rotate out once their stories are done. So like Fallen Angels is the Asian Psylocke book. That's going to rotate out, and they have other ones coming out. So Cable's getting his own book. There's a Wolverine book coming out. But the big one is they're doing a X-Men Fantastic Four book because if you didn't know, Franklin Richards is a mutant. And one of the first issues of Hoxpox is Cyclops encountering the Fantastic Four, and he's like, oh, until Franklin, whenever he's ready, his family is waiting for him at home.
Oh, shit.
And he says that to Reed and Susan and just, like, walks away.
Doesn't Franklin have black hair now, too?
I think he does, but, like, I don't know. The continuity is, like, wonky.
Yeah, whatever.
But the thing is, like, what Hickman's done is, like, well... And I talked about this when I saw my brother during the holiday break. It's like the biggest problem the X-Men and mutants have had is that all their stories kind of happen to the side because you can't really address. Like you either have to fully address them in every book because there's a whole population on the planet where there's people with fucking superpowers, or you just ignore them, and they've always ignored them. And Hickman's like, all right, well, we're gonna give them their own island, and we're gonna like do this whole country thing, and it's just been fucking crazy. Like the most recent, I'm trying to remember when to pull it up here because like they had the whole, if you saw like Daddy Apocalypse thing and Daddy Magneto where they're all in their suits.
It's so funny.
I will say there was that tweet from Hickman I saw that made me laugh where it was like, to those who keep saying I should be fired off of X-Men, trust me, I am trying everything in my power to do that every single day I'm here.
They won't fire me.
They won't fire me.
Well, he is a consistent moneymaker for them, so they're not going to.
He's so good. Like he's just the best. Like,
yeah.
I also like the subtlety of because the few things I've seen, the subtlety of the polyamorous relationship between Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean Grey is very clearly established by the map of their headquarters.
Their house,
and their bedrooms are the only ones that have shared doorways.
Yep.
Well, it's pretty much said early on, and other characters have commented like, I gotta get to Krakoa. I heard it's a fucking party. Like, and like it's like a whole thing. And I'm trying to find like because the most recent issue of X-Men, Magneto does this like whole speech, and he's just like, oh, like 'cause there's like, oh, like you have these teams ahead of you, blah 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 blah. And one of the parts of it is they're talking about like, oh, and humans destroyed this like this, and there was a Bronze Age and a Dark Age. We don't even know what happened to the Bronze Age. And like one of the people's like, oh, would you know what happened? Apocalypse is like, yeah, me.
That's really good.
It's an Apocalypse, Magneto, and Xavier meeting with like.
Oh yeah, I did that.
But like the coolest part is that like Magneto's like they're like, oh, like someone says like, oh, there's always going to be a war, and he's like, no, there won't be no war. And they're like, how can you say that? It's like, oh, like we've seen what you've done, and we're changing what we're doing. And like, I don't need to show you how strong I am. Like, I'm strong. Like, you know, I'm strong. So like, what we're gonna do is like, we've seen what you do. Like, oh, so you guys give people lives, we're gonna give them better lives. You guys have drugs, we're gonna give them better drugs. And then you make people owe you money, so we're gonna make them owe us money. And then we're gonna take all of your money and buy all your banks. Then we're gonna buy all your schools. We're gonna buy your media and your politicians. And when we've bought everything else, then we're gonna buy you because you've taught us that everything has a price, and we are happy to pay. And then we will use that influence, and we will use it, and we will win, and blah blah blah. And he's like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, the steak is delicious." And like everyone like stares at him like they literally draw like a panel, and everyone's mouths are agape, and they're like, "The fuck?" And he's just like, "Yeah, well, like you killed Xavier, we resurrected him, we're immortal. What the fuck do you want from us?" Like,
It does remind me of like one of my favorite moments from Hickman's Avengers was also food related, and it was after some big victory. Thor is making food for everyone.
Yes,
and he's making like, what is he making? And also hot dogs. And the other thing is like this like succulent, really fucking fantastic sounding meat. And everyone's like, he's like, I also have these rods of disgusting pork meat. And everyone goes, I'll take the pork meat. And he's like, curious.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like curious. Okay, 9 pork rods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do like it's just so interesting because like now they're showing like they have a meeting in Wakanda as one of the members, and like, oh, you're not open to trading. He's like, oh, do you guys want to come? And he's like, I have like we're gonna do this with like a king and a queen thing, and Magneto's like, oh, okay, whatever. We don't really give a fuck. Like we're kind of past that anymore. But like, yeah, like if you're not into it, they literally part of the thing is that they have resurrected every character that's ever died that's a mutant.
Well, I mean, they were going to do that anyways. So.
Yes, but I mean,
I know.
They actually address it. It's like in Marauders, which is the Kitty Pryde, now known as just Kate.
I did see a bunch of panels from Kitty Pryde, and
her thing is
really
awesome.
Good.
So she's the Red Queen of the Hellfire Club, and it's her. She has a ship. It's her, Iceman, Storm, the original Pyro, and I can't remember who else. And they basically go around the world, bring their drugs, because their drugs, if you don't know, so there's 3 drugs. One drug cures everything of the body. One drug cures every ailment of the mind. And the third one gives you 5 years extra to your lifespan.
Huh.
And yeah.
So when you say they brought everyone back, does it mean they brought up shit like Pixie back and stuff like that?
Yeah, Pixie's back. They brought back Shinobi Shaw.
Whoa, okay, that's okay.
They brought back Captain Britain's both siblings. So there are 2 Psylocks, although the one is not called Psylocke. She's Captain Britain now. And then there's the Asian Psylocke, and then British Psylocke's brother is back as well.
Jesus. Okay.
Like,
all right.
Everyone is back, and everyone is in the fold. Because that's like one of the first issues is like, so they have a council, and it's Xavier, Magneto, and Apocalypse are one because they're like seasons. So they're like one season, and then it's Sebastian Shaw, Emma Frost, and Mystique are another, and then it's Storm, Jean Grey, and Nightcrawler are another, and then it's Exodus. I can't remember the other 2 are like another. And like they're the council, and then Doug, what the fuck is his name? Cypher is like talks to Krakoa, the island, and he's like another thing, and he just chills in the background, sitting on the fucking tree and talks with the tree.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other stuff
I-
going on, but it's fucking crazy and it's interesting. And they, in one of the books, they showed like, because they make Xavier makes like a psychic worldwide announcement to everyone on Earth, like, we're the mutants, we're here, bitches, we're going to survive, and the Earth is going to be ours eventually. So either join us or we'll wait you out.
This
And
steak is delicious.
Yeah. I implore anybody who has a tertiary knowledge, care about the X-Men to just... I haven't read this yet, but it's Hickman, and I have nothing but faith in his writing. So go check this out.
I want to. I'll get to it.
Oh, I'm gonna.
I just bought the one hardcover for it, and it was really of House of that has. So what they're doing that's interesting is, so House of X and Powers of X are one hardcover, and then everything else they do trade wise will just be number ones.
Yep.
So it's all the number ones together, and then all the number twos together, all the number threes, and so on.
Yep. And that is exactly the way Hickman wanted the story to be told, because he has, I think, executive power over all of this.
Yeah, it's exactly like you said. He's the Feige of this thing, so everything is going through him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be rad.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was my number one. Arlen, I think yours is the last one.
Yeah. So my number one is also maybe my favorite show in the television world right now, just in general. It's a sci-fi show called The Expanse. Currently it is streaming on Amazon, all 4 seasons. But the
because that's one of the ones that got canceled and picked back up, right?
Yes, because the fans went full classic Star Trek and just campaigned like crazy.
On Sci-Fi and got canceled, right?
Yes. Yeah, and they were doing all
has to
kinds
make
of
room for
stuff.
more fucking Mega Python versus Super Boa movies.
Don't get me started on
We
sci-fi.
could do a whole episode about
sci-fi.
shows sci-fi has canceled that are good.
So many of them. It's just like a long list. But fans did things like sending drones with letters into the
That's hilarious.
offices
I
of
love
Amazon, like all kinds of.
I
like,
love that level of
weird-
dedication.
The
So
few
many
shows that have been
weird
brought back the
choices.
past few years, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I think was it Lucifer got picked up for one more
Yes,
season.
that's actually Lucifer is my honorable mention.
And
Oh,
this,
yeah.
like, I'm really happy when like shows get canceled that are like Brooklyn Nine-Nine getting canceled was like wild to me,
It's
and like the next
devastating.
day it was saved.
Yeah.
So anytime that happens, I'm like, go you, like,
Yeah.
I can take your
Yeah,
shit
great.
back.
It's fantastic. And Amazon they are all in very clearly if you get through the whole show into the 4th season, because the budget is it's astronomical. It looks like it's $1 million. The whole show is amazing. Does anybody know like the basic premise of it at all, or
No.
are we
No,
all kind of
I don't
cold
know.
on?
I don't know a fucking thing about it.
I know it
Okay,
just
so-
exists.
So the Expanse it means space, of course. But the concept is it's about 80 to 100 years in the future, I think. And humans have made it into space. And they have just gotten to the asteroid belts. Mars has been settled for years, as is the moon. And as time has gone on, different stratifications have happened. And there's this sort of ongoing Cold War between Mars and Earth.
No.
Can I
and
say
they're-
something?
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like the original Gundam series minus Gundams.
There's a lot in common. If you're somebody who's into Gundam, there are parts of the show that are really going to appeal to you.
I was going to say, I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm saying that
No,
as
No, it's a good
Yeah.
thing.
There's a lot of like interstellar politics in this show. Because when you get into the belt, one of the things that I love about the show is they take living in asteroid belts very seriously. One of the first characters you meet is a prisoner from like a space version of the IRA whose bones are elongated because he grew up in lower gravity. So when he comes to
ow!
Earth, he can't move. It hurts him. He's crushed by the weight of just being here. When people from the belt try to come to Earth, they have to take drugs to help their bodies adapt to the difference in gravity.
Well, that's a play on what really happens, where and if astronauts have to they sit in the thing once they land for hours to decompress.
Yeah, and they take that stuff
very
seriously. They commit.
It literally is the bends. It's like the bends.
Yeah, exactly. They commit to space being silent, not you'll hear some music, no score, explosions don't have sound. Everything
so not
is
Star Wars.
Yes, in many ways it's not Star Wars and it's not Star Trek, but at the same time, the tension in that show reaches fever pitches that are just indescribable. The way that they use sort of modern Earth conflicts and our own history about exploration and expansion, and the way they integrate those ideas, for me, it was just I ate it up. You all know about, my love of spy stuff and espionage, that I'm very much into history, and so many different aspects and things for me to focus on that it worked for me. But then there's this other aspect of, there's a sort of more fantastical sci-fi element that appears in the very first episode. And the way that it's weaved into the show, and they don't treat it like something that these characters get bored of. They treat it like something that would be important, like it would be in real life. They don't take the fact that they're 70 years in the future as a way of them saying, "Oh, well, it's nothing. It's just a sci-fi thing. It's just a kooky sci-fi thing. How crazy is that?" Characters react to these things the way that they should, and it changes their world, changes the way that the universe. And as the story keeps on growing and gradually expanding, it just becomes more and more interesting, and they delve deeper into this sci-fi aspect until it's gotten to cosmic levels at this point.
Yeah.
You sold me on it.
There's so much going on by the fourth season, and I just can't wait. I can't wait for season 5. I am probably going to rewatch the entire show. That's how good it is. Because I keep thinking about it and wanting to go back.
Didn't Discovery season 2 come out in 2019?
Yes, Discovery came out.
Which I would just say, it's not I was like, oh, I forgot that came out. I really like that show. But you sold me on Expanse. I'm like, ooh,
2019, yeah.
And it just actually reminded me of I understand the cost of making fucking Gundams, but the base of that series sounds like it kind of plays into Expanse. I'm like, why haven't anybody done that?
Yeah.
What happens when you build long-time space colony?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they play with that I don't really think I've seen in sci-fi. And I haven't seen it taken as seriously as they take it. Mm-hmm. And they don't treat it as an impediment to good storytelling. In fact, they do the exact opposite. It's, Connor, you know this as well as I do, it's something that Nick Hodges talks about all the time. Not letting these things be a barrier to making your story better. History buffs, yes.
There we go, yep.
Yeah, so
it's a good fucking channel. If you like history, please go watch some of his shit.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Connor, Erik, do you have? Are you interested at all? I know TV is hard for both of you.
I don't have enough hours in the day to watch everything that interests me or even vaguely interests me. So while this sounds fascinating, I
understand that.
I don't have.
I understand that. What if I told you there's a character who a third of his personality is sexual innuendos? Would that help?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
It wouldn't go deep enough for me.
That's the thing, though. Yeah. Every element is integrated.
Is that a sexual innuendo?
Human sexuality and but everything is there. human beings are there on display. And if the fact that it's a sci-fi show scares you, don't be.
Not at all.
Quality acting.
I love
Thomas Jane
sci-fi.
As
Thomas Jane is in it.
Thomas Jane is.
Oh shit!
He is in this show, and Thomas Jane's it the fuck up.
Okay,
that's good.
He goes in. He's not there the entire time. I'm not gonna
say it's his show, but
catfish you guys. But he's a major part of season 1 and 2. He does continue to have a role going past season 2. And he's fantastic. Every time he shows up, it's one of my favorite episodes. And his character, he's like an old 30s noir detective in space.
That's a good idea.
So yeah, this is a show that has the equivalent of when Cap meets Iron Man in the Avengers. It has that kind of thing where you introduce characters who don't know each other, the storylines don't interact, but you begin to love them, and then when they meet, you get so excited that they're meeting, much in the way that Game of Thrones would do during its heights. You just get so excited by characters who, for no reason you would ever expect to meet, they're interacting and they're just making each other's stories far more interesting. Fantastic show. One of my favorite shows of the decade. So yeah. The Expanse, number 1.
I will only say because Connor brought it up before, but because everyone's done their number 1s now, right?
Yeah.
My honorable mention would be Lucifer, and only because Connor brought it up, so that got saved. We had the second to last season came out this year, and there's only one more. I loved what Fox did, and just like Connor said, Netflix threw a shit ton more money that Fox ever gave them. So I would say, I think this last season was like 6 episodes. And all the seasons are on Netflix. And you can see Tom Welling play Cain as an Abel and Cain in the previous season. And there's lots of special effects in this last season. And spoilers for Crisis, but like the most surprising cameo, I think, in the whole first 3 episodes.
That he outright denied,
Yes.
denied, and then he fucking shows up.
And they show up in like an awesome way in an explanation that ties into both shows. So he's played with Constantine in probably more ways than one. And they like Constantine helped a character on the show that we didn't see in Mazikeen. And it's a very fun show. The first couple of seasons are very procedural with some stuff, and the newest seasons like drops the procedural stuff like almost immediately. And I really enjoyed this season, and there's only 1 season left. And I wonder if they're
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I believe they are doing, quote unquote, doing a Sandman series for Netflix, and I wonder if they're going to try to tie it into the final season.
Erik,
I can't even hear Erik.
He turned into the Annihilation.
I mean,
it sounds like you're dying.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
it'd be cool if they did, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Sandman is ever going to make it.
So they're apparently working on it, and I don't know when they are saying the next season of Lucifer, the final season's coming out. But I love Tom Ellis. He's awesome. If you think Tom Welling is big, Tom Ellis is taller than him. So when they did this season together, it was very interesting. And I love the way, if you watch the Crisis thing, his superpower is basically finding what your inner desire is.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick, we just want to shout out John some more because he had other picks. His TV pick was Stranger Things, season 3. We all watched it. Did we all like it?
I loved it. I think it was the best
really
season of the show.
Yeah, one of the better seasons.
Oh yeah, hands down. And they did the thing they have been successful at, which is taking one character who's somewhat separate from the main group and gave them a fantastic fucking story.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the little sister, I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about Max was season 2, and then season 3 is Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, Lou was talking about the other little sister, Lucas's little sister.
I was making a joke, but
too.
she is awesome.
Yeah,
she's great. And then he had Console Wars, a lot of the other stuff. He had Disney Plus, which kind of counts as The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian, essentially, yeah.
Yeah. And then I think that's all, other than he had a book called Console Wars. I haven't read it, but John really seemed to like it, so yeah.
It's supposed to be really good. I think Seth Rogen actually wants to adapt it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had heard that. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's more like Preacher and less like Green Hornet.
I think we'll go to John's honorable mention, and that sort of segues into Connor's honorable mention. And John's was Deep Rising. So yeah, that's a film that I've seen, and it's great. Connor,
I don't know how that segues into Connor's because I can guess Connor's
honorable mention.
Well,
take a guess at what my honorable mention is.
Some garbage podcast.
Didn't get any of that.
a podcast with trash or a synonym in the title. Is that?
Well, I'm gonna address John's real quick. Deep Rising fucking rules, and it's one of my favorite episodes we did this year. And that movie is, homie. Will you give it 5 fucking minutes? Oh my god! Just make
homie,
it
don't play that game.
Me. He's fucking bored. I haven't been paying attention to him the last 3 hours. Deep Rising rocks, and if you've ever had hesitations about it because you're not sure about it, just bury those hesitations because it's a fucking fun monster movie. And that's really the most I can say about it without just saying, hey, go listen to Movie Dumpster, because we talk about it for like 2 hours. But I'm glad someone discovered it through that show because it is a really fun monster movie that I think is criminally undiscussed. So I have no idea how that ties into my honorable mention, but I guess you're just using
because of Movie Dumpster. Yeah,
I mean, my honorable mention was going to be for the second year in a row, Hellblade, because this was the year I finally committed to finishing it.
So 2 of your 6 things are from 2018.
Give a shit.
Connor doesn't care. He never really has.
Because I didn't get the game until late last year, and it took me about 4 or 5 tries to actually get the momentum and get the time to play through it all the way. And when I finally did, it was one of the most emotionally and riveting game experience I've ever had. And I'm telling people out there, if you've looked at it and you think you might enjoy it, just give it a fucking chance because it's so goddamn good.
You know, and I'll say this to back up Connor. Finishing that game is a pick on its own. Finishing that game is its own thing. Playing it is one thing that is almost on its own enjoyable. Trying it, I think that's an achievement. Finishing it is its own thing, and it's something that we all should do if we're good people.
I know it was on Game Pass for a while.
It still is.
It's still on Game Pass.
It still is.
It is now a Microsoft first-party title. It's never leaving Game Pass.
Oh, awesome! I actually forgot how much I loved. What was the other Game Pass game that was huge this year?
Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds.
Yes.
I played that game twice and beat it twice. I fucking love it.
Yeah, I fell off of it, but it's really good.
Yeah, it was very well done from what I played. Yeah.
Well, do we want to? Does anybody else have honorable mentions to mention?
Erik, did you do an honorable mention? Or
mine was going to be Hickman on X-Men. Mine's late to the party, haven't caught up to yet, but it's Hickman on X-Men. Come on.
If Hunter told us his, I can't remember. So
yeah, I don't
remember.
My honorable mention is the Netflix show You.
My wife just finished that today.
Oh, you mean the Lifetime show? You?
I saw.
No, it's a Netflix show.
I saw a great tweet about this, and it was like, it's just a picture of Joe, and it says, "I will gladly take 10 more seasons of this goddamn awful toxic show."
That's the show where it's like a serial killer or some bullshit, right?
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna.
Can I just say,
very quick.
My wife? Can I just say one thing? My wife watched this show while I took down Christmas decorations today because she has the flu.
Yeah. So from what you saw doing that, what were your thoughts? I guess.
This guy has a really weird haircut. It's like not a Jufro, but like kind of a Jufro. Like I don't know how it's super curly, and he's very weird, and it wants to be Dexter, but it's not. and it wants to be very psychological, but it seems really cheesy.
It is. So it's very cheesy. So it's a show about a serial killer, and particularly he's a what the fuck is it called? He's an opportunity killer, and they go really deep into his psychology.
Because isn't he like most of it? From what I saw, was like it's almost accidental, but he's more of a stalker. Like it's more about him being a stalker than being a killer.
Well, opportunity killer, I think the definition is somebody who they don't kill with a plan. They don't kill with intent necessarily. They kill because the moment arises for them to kill.
But I think the idea in opportunity killer is that they want to kill. To me, from what I've seen, he doesn't want to kill, but he wants certain things, and if killing is the only way to protect that, then he'll kill.
Yeah, sure. It's hard to... Lou, I don't know what the definition really is for this guy. It's hard, because serial killer definitions you could go down a... Anyways, the show is... It's very fun. And I know that's weird for a show about a serial killer. It's a show that makes you kind of root for this guy, but also just spend the entire time like, what is happening? Why am I on this person's side? What have you done to me, show? Because it just it's so charming.
Can I ask a question though?
Yeah.
Sounds like a Lifetime show to me.
So you watched this but didn't finish Legion.
Hey, fuck off. Hey, fuck off. Also, I forgot about Legion, actually. So, yeah.
If you check the chat, I am correct.
Okay, it was a Lifetime show. It's not currently airing on Lifetime, you son of a bitch. Okay? I don't care if it was on Lifetime. Currently, it's on Netflix.
Arlen really likes his lady murder porn.
Exactly.
Here's the thing, though. It's not really even murder. Like, murder has very little to do with it. It's really more of a comedy.
I feel like it's kind of weirdly the opposite. It's like a sardonic take on the idea of like how true crime has been so big. So it's a serial killer sarcastically.
Yeah.
As like to an audience that would normally watch like stuff of killers get like the justice, I survived, snapped.
Right.
But you're following the guy, which I think all of those are Lifetime shows. I know Snapped is. Where's Oxygen?
Yeah, it is. I think it is. But like also the way I would describe it is it's Bret Easton Ellis with less of a fuck you if you don't like what I'm doing type tone to it. Like,
okay, I'm definitely into that then.
Erik wakes up.
It feels like that to me, like the sense of humor that the show has and the way that they treat character death. And there's always like a little bit of I'm laughing and pointing at this type of aspect to it where Joe, the serial killer you're following, is the least reprehensible person in some situations. Because oftentimes he's killing other people who are killers just by happenstance.
Which is how I go to the Dexter thing.
It's very similar, but it's not planned. Like, there's a guy who cuts his finger off at one point, which is not a spoiler. And guess what? He ends up killing that guy. But the way that it happens is played for comedy. Like, a lot of the death is not serious death. And most of the serious death you don't see. It's oftentimes off screen. It's the more humorous stuff that you do actually see done violently and gruesomely. And when they do gruesome violence, they tend to commit to it pretty hard for a show that was once on Lifetime.
I know when I looked over, there was a dead body in a Magneto cell with him for like at least 3 episodes.
Well, that's the other thing. The serial killer aspects that they do integrate, it's not the kind of thing that you would see an actual serial killer do, but it's the kind of thing that most serial killers would want to do. Like, in a perfect world, they would have a person cage that they trick people into. And they would have all these little things that they do to make themselves seem like they're not pieces of shit. And that's the other thing. Like, the show never tries to tell you that Joe isn't terrible. He's utterly reprehensible. It's just that everybody on the show is utterly reprehensible. The only people who are excluded from that are like children, and maybe a couple other side characters. But most people in the show are reprehensible. So it's just like, okay, he's just one of many people who you do not like them as people, but they're still enjoyable to watch.
I can sum up how I've seen this show from a distance with that one meme you shared, where it's a comic of Joe saying, stalking and killing people is wrong, and someone responds with, Joe, you have stalked and killed people.
Yeah. Also, it should be said, the show is produced by Greg Berlanti, our Lord and Savior.
Oh, really?
And it's also produced by Sarah something. I can't actually remember her name, but she was one of the main writers of Supernatural during the good times and the bad times of that show.
That makes sense.
So there's a lot of CW-ness to the show, which is part of why I'm able to watch it.
All right, I'm out.
Because I'm Erik, not to that degree. It's not the same as The Flash, where it's like, come on, what the fuck is going on? Why are we being forced through this romance that has no pulse to it? It's not that.
Can I transition to like another thing that I just forgot that you reminded me of that I think came out this year?
That's going to bed.
Doom Patrol came out this year, and Doom Patrol's fucking awesome.
Yeah, Doom Patrol is great. Do we want to do things that we hate? Because I was just trying to get through that fast. But
I think we should save this for probably a different episode, because if we go any longer, I'm gonna pass out in this chair or shit my pants. Like,
yeah, I'm okay with that. Honestly, I'm okay with saving the things.
Why don't we just do a bottom 5 episode?
That's what I'm thinking.
You know what? That's not the worst idea. It's not.
How can I put the same thing 5 times?
That's what. No, we don't. I don't think we do a list. We just do the worst things from 2019. Is what I propose. So I think with that being said, let's get the fuck out of here.
All right. Yeah.
I think if anything, this episode just goes to show that 2019 was so fucking packed that we can't remember when the fuck it started.
It's almost like terrible years with terrible presidents and terrible politics make for great fucking fiction.
I'm not plugging anything. Go listen to Movie Dumpster. Our year-end review or wrap-up is out. It's really good. We talk about pretty much every movie we watched this year. There's some sound bites and some fantastic sound bites. Some good revivals of old jokes, some discussions on the MDU, and some good banter and some teasers for next year. So that's it.
Yeah. Lost Horror Podcast released a episode where me and Erik Sayer talked about the space conflicts. So go listen to that. Yeah, because we were going to talk about that this episode, but we did not have time. So go do that. Get that out of your system.
I'm taking over the coveted third spot because the tall boy's heart failed him in pumping blood to his brain. I'm Erik Fedorchuk. You can find me at Erik_Fedor on Instagram. I'm floating around the Phantom Zone. And yeah, that's it. It's like 1 something in the morning here on the East Coast, so I'm out of energy.
All right. So check out the comic show if you like to talk of House of X. We covered like every issue of that. And we just read through Crisis. There's Smallville Chronicles is still going. Listen to Movie Dumpster because they mentioned me in their year-end wrap-up with my awesome, terrible Photoshops.
Dude, people fucking love that fucking Cyborg Rod versus King Goat Shark picture.
Oh, yeah. Like, that was an inspiration of that episode.
I heard that I was mentioned, but I have not listened yet.
You were mentioned.
I told you that Sean listens to your fucking show, so.
Yeah. My heart grew 2 sizes when I found that out.
And I was going to say,
because that's unhealthy.
I would say to anybody, if you have Amazon Prime, you get free credits for Audible. I just finished listening to Neil Gaiman reading Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology.
Ooh,
I was wondering where that was going to go.
Yeah, which was really awesome. And all I kept thinking was like, how do I work in that? You can check out our resident Angaboda Hunter Davenport at young_Kame at on Instagram as one of the many giants that they reference in that. Also, apparently Loki, in order to solve a problem, turns into a horse and gets fucked, and that's how we get Odin's 8-legged horse.
Yeah.
Sure.
Why not?
Eric, you would actually really dig it. There's Loki has many children by very weird means in this.
Well, I mean, I knew about what is it? The Fenris.
Fenrir is his son, the giant wolf. The world serpent is also his child.
That's the one I was trying to remember. Yeah.
All right, I don't want to rush this, but we're gonna approach the 4-hour in 2 minutes.
Also, I was gonna say, if you played God of War, it really works with it.
Well, I just wanted to add real quick, Harlan, if your heart grew 2 sizes larger, does that mean you have more room in your heart for Lifetime movies that you want to watch?
Go fuck yourself.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Go fuck yourself. Bye.
Adios.